Hello again, I'm Greg. So today we hear a lot about the kind of social conflict, the conflict over values that is occurring in the United States in particular, but also within the West and perhaps in other places as well, as developing countries sort of encounter modernity more or less for the first time. And the cliche is that, of course, on the conservative side or on the right hand side of the road, as it were, there's this sense of the defense of the tradition, whatever that may be. And then on the left hand side of the road, there's this sense that, okay, we need to dump that tradition and do something else because the tradition is clearly not working anymore, if it ever did. Um, let's use another kind of cliche image. First of all, there's a sense that there's two kinds of minds involved, or at the very least, mindsets. And if I'm kind of trailing off to the right, and I'm going off to my right here, as you can see, and I'm feeling like, oh, this feels better. I'm comfortable with what I know. I don't have to worry about the new, the future. I can bolster myself against changes. Change is difficult in any case. And I'm sort of trailing off to the right, and my brain is sort of safe within my head, within my mindset, and it's breathing comfortable air I know very well. But then as I move further and further away to the right, I begin to realize that my brain has just suffocated and I'm dead. Okay? So over here, way over on the right hand side of the road, there's no air to breathe. There's nothing left. I've breathed it all up because my mind has been closed. But similarly, if I start trailing off to the left hand side, okay, and I feel like, oh yeah, my mind's opening up. This feels really good. There's fresh air, new air coming in, and I'm breathing it in, and my life is changing, and I feel the freedom and liberation of all of that. And then I go too far off to the left, and my brain falls right out of my head. And I'm dead over here, too. The old cliche, my mind's been opened so much my brain fell out. Okay? So either way, right, we've got a problem. Okay? If you go too far to the conservative side, your mind becomes so closed that your brain suffocates and dies. And if you go too far over to the left hand side, your mind gets so open that your brain falls out. And these are cliche images, certainly. And I'm going to add to that by saying, okay, here I am back in the center of things, and I feel balanced. And you want to live in a house, right? You want your mind to live in that house where there's lots of windows, they're open, there's sunlight and fresh air flushing through the house, and everything is bright and beautiful, and yet that house itself is solid. Okay? And nothing's going to fall out. You're not going to fly out the window. You can close those windows if there's a tornado coming, and you can get down into the basement, and that house is going to save you. Okay? That house is somewhere in here, in this area, right? It's not off to that side, and it's not off to that side. It's within the center of things because we as human beings need to be in the center of things, whether it's action or thought. We need to place ourselves in that center and not turn away from either action or thought by sort of pretending on one side that, okay, the tradition will save me, it's worked for thousands of years, blah, 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 or, oh, no, everything has to go, it's all crap, and I'm going to fall off this side. No, and no, okay? Imagine if you're a parent then, and here's a kind of another cliche example, but a decent one. And your kid is off to a party, or she thinks she is, and it's like, okay, if I'm over on the right hand side, it's like, you go to that party, Missy, and you disobey us, and you're going out to the woodshed, and you're not going to be sitting for a week. Okay, no and no, right? Humiliation, shame, and violence, absolutely not. On the other side, we've got, oh, hey, I went to this party last night and I had a few drinks and I think I got date raped and it was really a miserable experience. And then the parent says, oh, that's nice, dear. Better luck next time. Okay, no and no. That too is abuse, and neglect. Okay, these are extreme images, right? We don't necessarily see families that do this, although I'm sure they exist out there somewhere, especially in the United States, but elsewhere. Uh, and you can see just by that simple example of the way a parent, our hypothetical parent, is reacting to their hypothetical daughter going to this hypothetical party, that both kinds of parenting that emanate from either the mind that's too closed upon itself or the mind that's too open and escapes itself doesn't work either way. Either way, it's abuse, and sometimes it's involving shame or violence. Sometimes it's neglect or abandonment. Whatever it is, that child of yours is going to be screwed, okay, and perhaps for life. So somewhere in the center, where you're waking up to a new day, you're in that solid house. It's bright and airy. The windows are open. You've got that fresh air coming through, right? And yet you've also got a place, a base where you can say, okay, I can make a judgment here. I can sort of sit up in my bed. I can breathe that air and say, okay, I'm going to take it into myself, but I'm also going to rely on what I have been known, what I've been taught, in the same way that a culture relies upon its tradition and its history, even in the face of change, however radical. Okay, and you want to be able to get up in the morning and get out of bed, and you're breathing that fresh air and you're feeling the warmth of that new day's sunshine, and yet you don't fall through the floor when you get out of the bed, right? Or you don't step onto your hardwood floor and the whole room shifts. Okay? You need that house to be solid. So imagine yourself then as a young person getting out of bed. You're in that house. You feel confident, right? And any ropes that are around are the ropes that are tied to your bedstead that can be thrown out the window just in case there's a fire. It's not a rope that your parents used to tie you up in the basement and say, you're not going to that party, Missy. You're not going anywhere. It's a rope that it can be used to save yourself in a crisis. It's not a rope that manufactures its own fake crisis. Okay? And that's what moral panics do. And many of you parents are involved in those moral panics. And I want to extend an invitation to you, a serious invitation for you to abandon those fake projects. Okay? And heed the idea that we can be in the center. We can know what we're about, but we can be open to change, and we can judge those changes as they come to us because we're not falling through our own floors at the same time. We're not abusing our kids. We're not sort of trying to control them, and yet at the same time we haven't neglected them and abandoned them. We're in touch with what they're doing and who they are and what they need at the time. We're always in touch with that without judgment, without shame, certainly without violence, and equally so without neglect. Okay? However the political system shapes itself and whatever the parental reactions are along those lines, the best parenting occurs from the middle distance. And it's that middle distance that we, as parents and as adults, need to maintain with our young people. We don't want to be too present. We don't want to be overweening. We don't want to be their shadows. But we don't want to be out of sight so that whatever happens, we have no clue what's going on. Okay? It's got to be somewhere in that middle distance. So, within hailing, within a stone's throw, in a sense, a long stone's throw, where if somebody who's a young person says, hey, I need your help, we can hear them, right? We're not necessarily paying attention to every little peep that they do. That's something that we don't need to do. But if we get that shout, we're there, okay? And it's the same with our culture and our young people in general, whether we're parents or whether we're not. All adults, we need to maintain that contact at a distance, okay? So this is a horribly cliche set of images for you. I think it's an appropriate one. You can take whatever imagery or whatever sort of analogies you want to use. If you want to try a different kind of metaphor, it all works out to the same thing. The closed mind, right? Or the too opened mind that has no ability to judge anything at all. So on the one hand, a hyperbolic sense of judgment, and then on the other hand, no sense of judgment, and equally so, they're quite useless for everything, and most especially and most importantly, raising our children for a shared human future. Thank you again.